Okay, so I'll go right along. All right, so we're talking about, let's say the last statement I was on before we went off. We talked about how you see your husband. We talked about your understanding of conflict and how the understanding of conflict. Um, okay, so you have to go back to the root cause. Conflict is a symptom. Conflict is not the root cause. So when you're having a conflict, you should ask yourself, um, what is causing this conflict? What is this conflict about? What is it really about? Having experience having a wife for a while, dealing with women might not know. A woman might be angry with you about something on the surface, but the real reason for her being angry is way, way deeper inside. And because men are not mind readers, we just go around oblivious, you know, not knowing that what we just argued about now is not even what the real cause is. The real cause is that the woman is not feeling heard. And because the woman is not able to properly articulate the fact that I do not feel heard in this house. I just feel like every decision is just being made without me being factored in. Everything seems to irritate her. But because she's not addressed that, everything the man does seems to be wrong, even when they are not wrong. And the man is confused, leading to more conflict upon more conflict. So it's usually safer, like talking about those codes. You need to have code when the man is saying something you don't understand. You can have a code like timeout. When you say timeout, whatever he's saying, he stops and now listens to you to get what your timeout is for. So what's up? You said timeout. Yeah, this thing that you're saying, I don't understand it. Or this thing that you're saying, it doesn't quite rub me right. I feel somewhat about it. So timeouts are for, please give me more information. Um, I need to explain or run something by you might be, I need you to give me attention. Or it could be you just bending your head and rubbing your neck in a certain way means I'm feeling stressed. So anytime you see me bend my head like this and rub my neck, I'm really feeling stressed. That's not the time to give me more assignment or tell me more. So he now knows. So you have codes and languages for different things. As time goes on, it becomes normal communication, and both of you can be in the midst of people and say a whole lot without others getting to understand what you're talking about. Why? Because now you now have a language, you now have your own form of communication with understanding, and that dramatically reduce the conflict between the two of you, reduces friction between the two of you. Something that I normally like to echo between couples, that you need to deeply understand that you guys are on the same side. You are on the same team. No matter what the issue is, you are on the same side. It's like when you have two people in a car. One is driving, one is sitting in the passenger seat, but they are in the same car. So imagine if the one in the passenger seat decides to use her hand to cover the driver's eye. When you do that, you are not just endangering the driver, you are endangering the both of you. Marriage is like that car. The husband just happens to be the one in the driver's seat, but you are both in the car. You are the first recipient of whatever you do in the car. I'll give you another instance. So you are in the car with your husband, and maybe you are eating wrong, or your husband has eaten wrong, and decides to start farting inside the car that is wound up with AC on. Guess what? The smell will not get to the guy that you drove past on the road. The smell will be with you in the car. What am I trying to say? Hello, please mute your mic. All right. So you need to understand that conflict is like fat. It goes with you. It stays with you. It's not with other people. It stays with you. The more you do it, the more it smells around you. You don't want to walk around with some form of body odor called conflict. You don't need it. All right. So you always have to find what is the root cause of this smell. Is it that I have not taken my bath? Is it that the cloth I'm wearing was kept in a damp place? Is it that the cloth is this, or is it that something I stepped on something while coming or going towards this place? Now it's now you need to figure out the reason for the smell. So we are likening conflict now to a foul smell. The foul smell is not the cause, it's the symptom. It is a signal that there is something that is not okay, that is on you. Do you get it? So the moment you see first that you and your hobby are on the same side, you are in the same car, you are on the same journey, right? He's not out to get you, you are not out to get him. You guys are on the same side. Is one good understanding that you need to have. A lot changes when you have the understanding. Then secondly, your spouse, your husband in this case, is not your partner. I've said that in previous classes, but I felt led to repeat that now. That your spouse, your husband in this case, is not your partner. You know, a lot of times you say, how is your partner? Your partner. They throw the word partner all around. You see, your husband is to you what Christ is to the church. Christ is not the partner of the church. Christ is the head of the church. That is the same way your husband is the head of the family. Now, this understanding helps a great deal. I like to use the instance for those of you that have been in our class before now, when I say, in your office, despite the way your boss would talk to you certain times, do you talk back at your boss in the office? And the answer I normally get is no. Do you scream at your boss? No. When your boss asks for a report, do you send it to your boss? The answer is yes. When your boss asks for something, even when you're not happy with the boss, do you still give it to your boss? The answer is yes. Guess what? Your husband ranks higher than your boss. If you can do it with your boss in the office, believe me, you can do it with your husband. Some would say, oh, but my husband used to act like this, he used to act like that, he used to act like that. And I say, you might be correct. But your boss also acts like that, and like this. You do not use the actions of your boss to disrespect your boss. So why do you think it's okay to use the actions of your husband to disrespect your husband? All right. So that's where I brought about the issue of how you see your husband. How do you see your husband? Where is your husband ranked in your mind? Where is he ranked in your mind? Where your husband is ranked would help you treat him right. If your husband is ranked very low in your mind, you, no matter what he does, you treat him like every other guy on the street. But if your husband is ranked very highly in your mind, you will treat him with the respect that is due him as your husband. Coach, host, your mic is on. Could you mute your mic, please? Please mute your mic. Thank you. All right, so these are things that you need to look in. Some people might say, oh, you are taking it too far. How can I rank my husband and my boss in the office? I'm not asking you to rank your husband and your boss in the office. I am telling you that your husband is ranked higher than your boss. And believe me, it does not matter the title that your boss has. Your husband is ranked higher than your boss. Unless you do not want to enjoy your home and have peace in your house. The moment you realize that your husband is ranked higher than your boss, life just starts getting easier for you. The grace of being married just starts to manifest. It just starts to manifest, and it takes you to a whole new level. The moment you know that, the moment you start according your husband the respect that is higher than what you accord your boss in the office, and you do not do to your husband what you cannot dare do to your boss in the office, conflict disappears. Because I don't remember the last time you argued with your boss in the office. When your boss said sit down, you did not tell your boss why. When your boss said you have to wait so that we finish this and so, you did not tell your boss why. Even when your boss delayed to pay you, you did not go to your boss and say, ma or sir, why are you delaying to pay me? You ought to have paid me 2 days ago. You start praying, say, whatever is making this person delay to pay me, Father Lord, let this person pay me. That's what you do. The same way, when your husband is not responding to you in regard to a matter that you think he ought to respond to you for, prior to you confronting him, go and also pray about it. Say, Father Lord, I don't know why my husband did not respond to me this way concerning this stuff. Father Lord, I pray that you put it in his heart, blah, blah, blah. You declare what the issue is. You bring it to God in prayer. Then if the Lord tells you, okay, go to him for X, Y, Z, then you go. Imagine that was the same thing that Esther did when Mordecai came to her and said, look at what is happening. She did not storm into the king's presence and say, King, oh king, can you imagine what Haman is doing? No, she went into prayer. After she had prayed and got the confirmation in her heart, then she now invited the husband to a dinner. She still did not storm in. She went there respectfully, in reverence, requested for his presence, invited him to a dinner, and after the venison was served, then she made her request known. Some would say, oh, that's old school. In this day and age, we cannot be doing that. Okay, oh, no problem. But don't forget that the lady was promised to the half of the man's kingdom. Some can say, oh, my husband does not have any kingdom. Well, your expectation will not be cut short. But if you start to see right and you start to talk right, then undoubtedly you would possess right. You are the first recipient of whatever you sow. And if you want to reap big, then my advice, start sowing big. Start to declare what you want. Start to treat your husband like a king. Start to listen to him. Start to communicate right to him. If you have any reservations, construct your language in a way that even the angriest man in the world would listen to you. Why? Because you know you're about to address your king. And the more you do that, the more peaceably you would live. And the more peaceably you live, the more you would flourish. It does not matter whether your husband is tall or short, whether he's buffed or he's lean. It does not matter his stature. When you are driving on the road and you see a policeman on the road wearing his black and black, whether the policeman is tall, short, slim, looking haggard or not, when he raises his hand and says, stop, what do? You stop. The same way, you are not stopping because of his size. You're stopping because of the authority that he represents. You need to recognize the authority that your husband represents. The moment you do that, I promise you, your husband will treat you better. No matter how well he's treating you right now, he will treat you better if you reverence him more. He will. Believe me, he will. Go to God in prayer, find out the mind of God concerning the matter, present it to him the way God has presented it to you. You would win. But bear in mind, you are not in need for you to win. You are in need for you as a family to win. Not I, but we. Praise the Lord. So these are the areas that I would like for you to look into. Know that conflict is not the root cause. Conflict is a symptom. Conflict is usually stemmed on the absence or the lack of communication with understanding. The moment you have the right communication going and you have the right understanding going, communication goes out of the window. Even in the heatest moment, communication understanding helps to, cool things off, and it helps to give you victory every single time. Your husband says what you don't like, don't turn around and look at him in presence of everybody. They say, why will you talk to me like that? What's bringing that? It's your husband. You don't talk to your boss like that. Don't talk to your husband that way. If you don't like it, smile. There's a way you even smile. Even he will know that, that thing that I said just now, I think it did not enter well. Smile and just give him space or walk away and save it for later. You do not have to have it your way every single time. You can always prepare yourself so that you'll be able to let your goal first be communicating your point effectively. Then let's see what comes out of him as in it. Once he has a good understanding of your perspective, I bet that you would always have a victory. And having a good understanding is not working on your own time. Because you took out 10 minutes to explain to him, then the 11th minute you are wondering, you see, coach said once I explain it, I communicate where he would understand. I've communicated now, why is he not understanding? If he does not understand, it's proof that you have not communicated. I did not say talk to him. I said communicate. Communication, the proof of communication is in the understanding. If he did not understand you, it means you have not communicated. You just spoke your mind. Speaking your mind is not the same thing as communicating. Communicating means the person that you're talking to on the other side is able to articulately grasp what you have communicated or what you are trying, the point you are trying to create in his mind. Until that point is clear, you have not communicated. So if you try it and it seems like he's getting angry, leave it alone. Say, okay, you know what, honey? It seems like what I'm saying is not hitting the right spot. If I was communicating right, I'm sure you will not be getting angry. But what I'm saying does not require you getting angry. So the fact you are getting angry means I'm not communicating right. Let's leave it alone. We'll talk about it some other time when you are cooler, when I am cooler or something. Right? It's obvious I am not communicating right. Don't say it's obvious you are not understanding me, because that is a polite way of saying he's a dullard. He lacks understanding. The moment you are talking to someone and say it's obvious you don't understand me, it's obvious you are not understanding me, you are passively insulting the person. But if you say to the person, it looks like I'm not communicating right, or it looks like my communication is not as effective as I want it to be, could you give me a few more minutes, or could you give me a day, or could you give me this? Let me organize my thoughts and present my points to you much later. Give me some time to organize my thoughts and present it to you much later. I'm sure I'll do a better job when I represent it. Right now, I don't think because what I have in mind and what your reaction to what I'm saying is, it's not correlating. So I must have been communicating wrongly. So now he does not feel like you are challenging him. He's saying that you are owning the scenario. Next thing you hear him say, okay, you know what? Start again. This or that. Then you guys can start with questions. At the end of the day, you get to the root cause. You find that, oh, the matter was not even a serious matter. And you sort it out. Why? Because your goal and his goal is for both of you to win. Not for I to win, not for him to win, but for we to win. All right. So that's as much as I'm able to take with regards conflict. I'm going to breeze through intimacy because now it's already 9 p.m. your time. I don't know how much, or almost 9 p.m. your time. I don't know how much more time I have with you. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of breeze through intimacy. Now, for intimacy, we've had a class on intimacy before. Our
Sorry,
host could
coach.
do us a favor.
Sorry.
Yes, go on,
I
please.
was just thinking that should we get a maybe question? Just take a question so we can take
Okay.
segment.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Fine. Do we have questions on conflicts at the moment? Do you have any question at all before we jump into intimacy?
So
Any
please,
question?
have anybody that have any question? You want to ask a question, or what was the situation? The class. Did you
Is,
get
is, is
what
there a
you
scenario you want us to use as a case study? It does
listed?
not have to be your scenario. Is it something you've seen or observed you want us to kind of use as a case study to break down and say, oh, okay, what would you expect us to have done in this scenario, something like that? Whatever it is, let's hear it then before we quickly jump to intimacy. Any questions, please?
Any comment, feedback, or do we have anybody that want to give us a comment so far the class? Okay, but somebody is in the chat section.
Coach.
Could either speak up or type it, whichever
Yes,
works
the
best.
person typed it. The person said, is it possible to not have conflict at all in marriage? Is it possible?
Um, it's not impossible, but it's a tall order. It's a very tall order. And the reason why I call it a tall order is because you come from a different family with different values, and your husband comes from a different family with different values. And you are coming together to create your own family. Whether you like it or not, that difference in values would cause some form of between friction between you and him. And that's not a bad thing. A lot of times people see conflict as an outright bad thing. No, like I said, conflict is not the root cause, it's a symptom. It's like when you feel pain, the pain you feel is not the enemy. The pain is to alert you that there is something in that part of your body that you need to check. That's the way conflict is. Do you understand? So I don't want you to see conflict as a bad thing. Conflict is just like a red flag. It's just trying to get your attention that, oh, check this thing, check this thing. Do you understand? So the moment you have the things you need to check, then you have less red flags. And yeah, you could get to the point where you rarely or almost never have red flags. I mean, that's the goal for every marriage, for every couple, right? But I do not want you to see conflict as a bad thing where, oh, we must not have conflict. No, let your focus be, we must sort out our differences so much so that we understand ourselves to the point where we rarely or no longer have any form of conflict. That's a better goal. Because if you see not having conflict as your goal, you might be sweeping a lot under the carpet that are not addressed in the name of you don't want to have conflict. You know, you want to have a speak and span record of, oh, me and my husband, we never have conflict. Then next thing you hear that the guy has moved out of the house. Why? Because the things that needed to be addressed are not addressed. You are not addressing, he's not addressing, you know, and now either him cannot have it anymore, you cannot have it anymore. So yes, it is possible not to have conflict, but for young couples, I don't expect that to be the case because you are still learning each other. In the process of learning each other, those differences need to be addressed. Now, some conflicts are more wild than some, right? So what I would think you should say is, or question you should ask is it possible to have constructive conflict where it's not the one outside of our where neighbors now come to try to help or parents are not trying to help? No, have differences, but we sort it out. We have differences, but we sort it out, you know, respectfully, with love and understanding. Because the more you do that, the better understanding you both will have for each other, and it will flow to your children. You know, try not to settle a conflict in front of your kids. Try not to settle conflict in front of a third party. If you have a difference, if people are there, hold it. When you guys are by yourself, say, honey, this. And let your communication be constructive. Don't make it be antagonizing. Don't start attacking your husband. Why did you talk to me like that? Why did you do this? It's just an attack. So now he has to be defending himself. No, oh, honey, the way you sounded towards me with regards to this, it really got to me like this. I'm not sure why you did that, but this is the way I felt about it. So what's up? Have I done anything that warranted that? Have I done this? So now he knows you are not attacking him. You just want a better understanding. Do you get it? So I don't want to use up more than already given time on this. If there's any other question, I'm open to responding. But I hope this answered your question. Host, I hope this is fine.
Yes, thank you very much, Coach. All right, so I think we have 3 questions, Coach. So, but we'll just
Go
take
on.
it sharp. So somebody
Sharp,
say,
sharp, sharp.
I have a question. Is it better to state it verbally than typing? That's question 1.
Okay, let me answer that before you go to the next one. The question is the person you are communicating with, in this case, your husband, which one does he assimilate better? Some people take vocals more than texting. You cannot be sending texting to someone that would rather talk about it, or talk to someone that would rather text about it, right? So you need to, first of all, your husband is your customer, is your client. You need to know what does your client on that, which one is more effective to your client? Is it talking or is it texting? But for me, I like, if you will, you could do both. You could write out the things that are bothering you, send it to him in the best way you can explain, and put there that, see, I would like for us to talk about these things when we see, but I just thought to clearly align my thoughts so that you fully understand where I'm coming from, so that, you know, it's just your own, this is the medium with which you know how to communicate better in, right? So you type it that way, but you must put the clause that you are open to having a conversation, but you just thought for you to, an avenue for you to clearly state your thoughts. All right, because it's always better to have a one-on-one facial stuff, because you're able to read the person's mood, because communication is not just texting. There is body language, there is mood, there's different stuff. You don't want to miss out on the different layers of communication and just narrow it down to just mere words. Your feelings are much more than just mere words. All right. So I hope I answered that. So next question.
Thank you very much, Coach. This question was asked indirectly. So I will hand it over to her now. She wanted to ask verbally. What she was saying, is it verbally or written? But I believe the way you answered the question also answered some people's questions. So Ms. Bibi, kindly unmute and go ahead and ask a question in 30 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uncle Sam. Thank you. Um, it's for my friend. She has been going through a lot lately. She has been trying to communicate with her husband for quite a while now, but it's been very difficult to the extent that, we've involved, she tried involving some, deacons and top people in church to intervene, and even some pastors. It's not really working. She's been praying, we've been praying about it. Nothing is even changing. So, in this case, Uncle Sam, what can she do? She's like contemplating divorcing him. He abandons the children, comes home 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and she's a very, passionate person when it comes to the gospel, when it comes to Christ. So she's like, you know, she's drained. She's drained. So I don't know what to do, sir. What
Thank
can
you,
she
Miss
do?
B.
What can we do with regards? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you for the question. Very, very down to earth question. But listening to you, there are a few things that I'd like for the whole class to look at. Now, first and foremost, you need to understand that there are different levels of friendship. The way you see your friend is different from the way your friend's husband sees your friend. Okay. So if your friend's husband were to describe your friend, and when you are describing your friend, if we compare, it will look as if you are both describing two different people. All right. You need to understand, for those of us that have been married, and I expect everybody in this group to be married, the husband you knew before you married and the husband you know now, they are two different people. The way he
No,
walks
we'll
when you
admit
married.
now.
Sorry?
Okay, not you, coach. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right. So they are two different people. So I just need to state that fact. Now, and the reason why I need to state it is this. Normally, a man does not run away from the house unless there is something chasing the man. If the man comes back home by 1 a.m., 2 a.m., there is definitely something chasing him. I am not pointing fingers at your friend. I'm only stating the obvious. There is something chasing him. Like I said, just like conflicts that I mentioned earlier, avoiding someone is a symptom of something deeper. If your wife starts to avoid you or your husband starts to avoid you, it is not the avoidance that is the problem. Don't say, sit down here, stop avoiding me. You have not solved the problem. Your question should be, why are you avoiding me? Why are you avoiding us? What are we doing or what are we not doing? I'll give you a few scenarios. Now, these are physical reasons. We could go to spiritual reasons maybe a little later. But I'm trying to speed through this answer. Now, if the man is a man, if their relationship was built on, let's say, sharing time together, and all of a sudden, the woman is now all committed to the children and no longer shares time with her husband. After a while, the husband starts to go to places where his attention is required, where his attention is being sorted for and is being valued. So the question should be, yes, she's praying. Good. But even you, in your own question, you said you have been praying with her, but nothing is happening. Who told you nothing is happening? So all the prayer that you have prayed, in one sentence, you have negated it by saying nothing is happening. Who told you nothing is happening? When a farmer plants a seed, does the seed germinate in one day? No. He keeps watering. And when the cloud be full of rain, it will empty itself. So that's one. So if she's sure she's not depriving him of anything, she's not acting unruly to him, she's not disrespecting him, then she should start praying. And she's called the elders in the matter. As long as her life is not being threatened, he's not violent, then she has the space to get on her knees and intercede. This is still a month of intercession. Intercede until the cloud be full of rain, and it will definitely produce results. You can say, oh, you've been praying for. How long have you been praying for? If you plan to pray forever, then 1 month will not feel like it's long anymore. If you plan to pray forever, 2 months will not feel long, like a long time. But when you plan to pray for a day and you pray for 1 week, you think like you've done so much. You put yourself down and say, you know what, if this prayer will take forever, we're going to be at it. Then all of a sudden, 1 month will not feel like it's too long. Because let me tell you, and find out from those that have gone that route, life is not easier for a divorcee. So this stuff about people always seeing divorce as an option, as long as your life is not under threat, life is not easier for a divorcee. Good men are not just walking around the street with on their forehead written, I'm a good man. Life is not easier for a divorcee, especially a divorcee that already have children. There is no man out there that would say, okay, let me just jump on this woman and take her home to my parents. I'm not saying that to scare anyone, but I'm just stating the obvious. This issue of jumping to becoming divorced, it is the very last result. That is when it's absolutely necessary. In my own book, it's not necessary, but for some, if it's going to be necessary, let it be the absolutely last result. And that is when your life is under threat. Do you get it? So take that out of the book. Let her to remove divorce from the option. Her divorcing does not make life any easier. As a matter of fact, maybe that's what he even wants. You now divorce and go, then his true color now comes. He now brings a younger girl to the house that will not be arguing with him, will not be challenging him, will not be giving him stress. So all those things that he is desiring from another woman, sit him down, let him tell you what those things are. The ones you can start doing immediately, you start. The ones you can't start doing immediately, put a time to it and start praying about it. If it gives you an impossible task, put it down in prayer. So this is the shortest way I can answer that question. If you want to talk about it more, maybe after the class, we can reconnect, then we'll talk about it specifically, because you just gave me general question. I'm giving you some form of general answer. But to talk about it specifically, then we need to now talk about it outside of the class so that we address what the real matter is. All right. So this is all I could say about that question at the moment.
Thank you very much.
Madam Host.
Thank you very much,
on.
Coach. Yes, I have Ms. Sheibi. Ms. Sheibi is one of our participants, and she said she just wants to add something to what you said, Coach. So, Ms. Sheibi, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Good evening, everyone. I just want to add something briefly. You know, I learned something from one of my pastors, esteemed Pastor Joy. She always says something. She said, rebuke all disobedience when your obedience is complete. Do everything you know right to do, not by you. Do everything you know right to do according to God's word. After that, leave everything else. You know, sometimes when you focus so much on the issue, on the problem, it continues looking big. And most times the woman stops living her life. And that's why she just closes her mind to everything else and just focuses on divorce. Live your life to the glory and to the praise of God. Continue in your prayers, but ensure you have done everything that if the Lord Jesus were to stand in front of you, he will say, my daughter, you have done well. And as you do these things, you find out that a lot of things begin to happen behind the scenes for your good, for your benefit. I like to say, I like when God himself is the one that chastises the man. Let the knocks come from God. So do your part, continue your prayers, but don't forget, live life. My pastor taught me something. She said, look, you are an entity on your own. You are a person. You have a purpose. You have a vision. You are fulfilling a destiny in God. So never let everything just be, oh, it just has to be this marriage, this marriage, this marriage. Do everything you're expected to do and be as a wife, and just leave it in God's hand. Continue with your prayers, continue with your declarations, and continue with the right attitude. In the end, you will definitely come back victorious. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sheibi. All right, so Coach, we have a very, very, very slight issue. The second segment, yes, the time is going to elapse in the next 1 minute.
Fast spent.
No. The time is going to elapse in the next 1 minute. So I'll just cut it off here and log back in again. I tried doing the subscription, but because of the dollar card, it didn't. I had some slight issues with the dollar card, so I couldn't do that. So please kindly bear with us. Just end this segment now, and we'll come back to the concluding segment, which is intimacy. I know that I have one question. We'll come back and take that. How do I see my husband as he is? This is because anytime we have an argument or I do something wrong, he says that I have not accepted him as my husband, despite doing everything to please him. I don't know how else to please him. That's one. Then number two is, why do some men begin to resent their wives a few years after marriage? How can one handle a partner who complains a lot, is unappreciative, and never gets satisfied with anything you do? So we'll be back. We'll end this now and come back. Please stay tuned. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 minutes.
All right, so let us know when we should come back, all right?
All right, Coach.
All right, then. Thank you, everyone.